Dimp Digital presents Idle Game Chat.
Cool.
Hello, apps here from Dimp Digital. Welcome to Idle Game Chat. This is the weekly video games podcast where we give our impressions of the games that you can play today and react to the latest news from the wonderful world of video games. We're here every Monday on your favourite podcast app and YouTube, absolutely free. This week, I'm joined once again by the disgraced and dishonest Dimp Digital gaming quiz charlatan. It's Tom Adkins, not Ed Cock. How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad. I've just had a lovely curry. Ooh. So there might be parping on live on air.
Been a while since we've got one of those on the old audio, so we'll be listening out for that. Maybe we'll boost it.
If you can find it in the stream and tag it in the time code.
If you can, we'll use it. Put it into the chat. I've actually started doing the chapters for YouTube now.
Good idea.
If I remember, of course.
If videos, I quite like that otherwise. Have you been getting a lot of adverts come up when you've been watching videos on YouTube? Or are you already a premium user?
No, yeah, I mean, I've just come off a month free of premium because occasionally they'll offer it back out for free. And yes, before that, tons of adverts. Right. And then after that,
it must be a bug. I had
a
bug. I watched like an 8-minute video, and I think I had about 7 adverts. I was like, "What the fuck is going on?"
It's crazy sometimes. It's annoying. Is when I watch it on like the telly downstairs, I'll use the Sky. There's a Sky app on the Sky box.
Oh right.
I use that, and it's handy because I can just pop it on, pop it off. You know, easy peasy. But whenever an advert comes on, or a YouTube ad, when it returns to the video you're watching, you lose like 3 seconds or 4 seconds of.
Oh really?
Like it's like a gap where it transfers over, and it's just it really annoys me. But I continue to use it, so it obviously doesn't annoy me that much.
No. Oh dear.
But
what we got in store?
Well, as again, we're going to touch on a few news items. A bit of a quiet week, I would say, and we've got some impressions loaded up for people for later on in the show, which we'll cut to and transition to once we finish waffling here. Bit of housekeeping to start things off. Now, I mentioned last week about the Jim Ryan nuclear bomb that he'd set off about PS Now, saying it'd been removed from all storefronts, you couldn't get hold of it. That's, very, very good, well done on stopping people getting that. Well, it turned out last week, for quite a while, for at least a few days, off their own website, you could get PS Now for a year. So,
unbelievable.
What this allowed people to do, if they wanted to do this, was to get a PS Now subscription in the UK anyway for $49.99, 50 UK pounds in real money, and that will then upgrade to the premium tier that we spoke about last week for the PlayStation Plus revamp. So you're getting it effectively for just about half price.
That's decent.
So I did actually do that. As I mentioned last week, I was going to be grandfathered in until June or July next year. I thought, I'll top another year up. And then another day later, I went, I'll do another year. And I was like, so I think it's been closed now, but I don't know where. I can't imagine they did that on purpose, but they weren't overly quick to react to take it down. But a lot of people, there's a lot of buzz going around on the different socials and the discords for people doing this. So Sony probably won't care too much because early doors are going to get people, hooked into it. And those people are saying, "I've just done 8 years worth." I'm like, what if it's complete shit?
Garbage. Yeah. To them, they're getting numbers up, and they're getting the concurrent users.
That's what they want. Yeah. So I foolishly upped it up, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my Game Pass to the same year in a month.
Well, that's
and
a good idea.
And then let them battle it out, and then only one will survive. But it's like 2-3 years down the line. So I always like to take a gamble now and again with things like that. In fact, that's what I did with Game Pass almost when it first came out, was stack it for years on end. But that nuclear bomb that Jim set off, just missed a little spot under his desk, so he didn't cover that.
He heard about it.
He did indeed. There's also, we didn't mention this last week, there's actually a 4th tier for PS Plus, and it's only available in regions that don't have access to the streaming services. So I was looking at it, and it seemed like some of the countries listed I was surprised at, like Singapore. I'm sure they said like Korea, and I was like, I'm sure these places have much better internet than bloody Wakering. But anyway, because they can't get that service, there's what they call the deluxe tier, and that'll be a lower price compared to the premium, and it'll vary depending on what your local market is, and that'll have the essential and extra tiers in there, along with the downloadable games for PS1, PS2, and PSP. So it's pretty much everything other than the PS3 games because they're streaming only. So that's something to keep there. Also, we referred to the PS1, PS2, and PSP stuff. Well, I certainly did refer to it as, well, this is a version of backwards compatibility. And then I was just sitting there one Wednesday evening, not very well, and I thought, hang on, that's not right, is it? This ain't backwards compatibility. And it's opening up a retro library. So,
right, cool shit.
We're not putting. There's nothing tied to any of our accounts. There's no.
No.
It's just this is all going to be a separate kind of service. It's exactly what Nintendo have done with their online service. And then I got thinking about the Xbox One, and that's not truly backwards compatible because you put the disc in. It downloads a patch to run it on the new one. So actually, if you were being really pedantic about it, like the last few machines that were properly backwards compatible on the Sony side was probably the PS. I mean, the PS3 didn't it? You just put the disc in.
But it was only that that fucking George Foreman bastard.
The PS2 was properly backwards. That all worked, but in the modern sphere, like Xbox has like that version of it. But even that technically isn't truly backwards compatible because it's downloading a patch to pop it on. It's simulating it, but
really annoying. I have that George Foreman PS3 up in the loft, but
does it still work?
It does, but it's a Japanese console, so it's region 3, but for PS4 games. Sorry, PS3 games. PS2 and 1 have to be. What's ours? I don't know. I can't remember what they use.
PAL.
We're PAL, aren't we? I don't know what Japanese is.
They use PAL as well.
Do they?
I'll look it up.
I don't know, or maybe because there was some Blu-rays that wouldn't work. I had a copy of Spider-Man 3, I think, on Blu-ray, and it wouldn't work on it. Do they use PAL? Do they? And then you've obviously got the Americans, like NTSC or something. Do the old Japanese use PAL as well? Do they, or they got their own one?
Let's have a look.
But yeah, certainly the backwards compatible used to bug me up. I could play.
Oh no, NTCS apparently.
Oh, they've got it as well. Oh, that's annoying. So yeah, so that's what it'd be. So I can play UK PS3 games, but if I want to go back compat, I've got to go and buy them all from Japan again. Unbelievable. But yeah, that, like you say, that's probably their last
proper one.
Their last true back compat.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we get all these patches.
So anyway, the retro library, that's not backwards compatible at all because you're not. Yeah. If I own Metal Gear Solid still digitally or physically, I can't access it still. It's just a retro catalog. Whereas what Xbox is doing is really backwards compatibility, even if it's being a bit clever about it. And actually, it's better in a way because they do the old boost, don't they?
Yeah,
that's got some fucking boost.
It's got some fucking boost. We could do with some of that for Metal Gear 4.
Yeah, I was listening to Sacred Symbols Plus last week.
Oh, you had that lengthy one, 4 hours of it.
No, it was one of their bonus ones on the Patreon page, and they had the guy, Tom from Moore's Law is Dead, who's like a tech person who does PCs mainly, but talks about the consoles, and he was saying on there that the reason why that it's not, the PS3 library is still streaming is because the way in which developers had to make the games on the PS3 means they can't just drop a universal emulator package into the software because each developer used a different way to extract the most amount of power out of the cell processor. So it's almost like each game needs its own specific kind of tweak to make it run.
So it's not one size fits all.
No, not at all. It's far from that. But then I got thinking, I was like, right, if that's the case, I can understand it's been a pain in the arse. I mean, it's going to be 20 years in what? Not about 4 years, but if they haven't got it something then, that'd be mad. But surely you just go, right, let's get the first party stuff, Infamous, Killzone. What was that? Resistance. Get those done.
Motorsport.
We'll put the fucking effort in for those ones and then bin the rest. Or, like, I'm very pro this, just remaster or remake them.
Yeah.
Like, I'm fine with that. I actually, in some ways, prefer it. I know, because I don't own those games anyway, but
yeah.
It's just like another frustration with that, but maybe they will. Yeah, maybe they will just bring out a selection of 20 and be like, "That's all you get in." And it's like, well, better than nothing.
Yeah, they could do that. Yeah, there are some good ones on there.
Yeah, no, there is. There's some great games. I mean, the Uncharted trilogy doesn't need rescuing. That's done, isn't it? They've done that.
Yeah.
If they did things like that, I'm like, why don't you just do a collection of all your first party stuff? You did it for The Last of Us, you did it for Uncharted, did it for God of War 3. That got a remaster. It's like, I don't know why I didn't put the effort in, or put the effort in now to save their own games at least.
Yeah, Little Big Planet. Get that one in.
Yeah, do it. Get it all
I
in.
wonder if you remember, that's where Digital Foundry sort of started, was that generation. I wonder if that's why the 360 seemed to have an edge over the PS3.
Yeah, it's
because of the
widely reported that anyone working on the PS3 and Xbox 360 was like, this PS3 is fucking a pain to use.
I
mean, I was all 360. I didn't buy a PS3, so I was 360. So I didn't. Really, I didn't notice I didn't really partake in any of that. I didn't understand.
Not a single third-party game I played on that PS3.
No, yeah,
literally exclusives only.
That's a lot of what a lot of people are saying. Again, I only borrowed the PS3 right at the end once The Last of Us came out. Went back and played Metal Gear and Uncharted 1 through 3 and The Last of Us, and then that was it. It was time
so you needed.
And again, naively, I thought, well, the other games I'll catch up on the PS4. That won't be a problem, will it?
Killzone.
Fucking still is a problem. in 10 years later. Anyway, that's enough for backwards compatibility and retro.
Interesting though.
Wordy. FGL update. Only one game released. It's one of your games.
Oh,
Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga.
Shit. Not about that. What did that
dropped in 82.
82.
I thought, from what when I saw that trailer they released, where they was doing like the gameplay, they done I think like 7 minutes or something. I was like, this is looking like easy 85, pushing on high 80s. So to see it come in 82 is a bit disappointing. I haven't checked, but I believe the Switch version has been bundled in with that, and I think that's hurting it because it runs like a pig.
Yeah.
So that may well be the cause there. That it's getting dragged down by that fucking handheld again. But
yeah, it is. Let's have a look.
Let's
have a look at number thing.
It's definitely. I thought it would score higher, but it's getting a lot of buzz. Like, people are saying it's the best Lego game ever. Some people saying best Star Wars game ever.
Oh,
I don't know what the correct answer is to that. I'm not a complete Star Wars nerd. Never really have been. I'll partake in it, but
no, that thing was pretty good. Fallen Order. I don't know if that's getting beaten, but
that's more up my street, to be honest.
Yeah, 85. Yeah, that would have been, like you say. It just looked like it was the perfect thing. It was acted upon it. God, the Metro boys dishing out 9s.
I know, yeah.
That's unbelievable. So, yeah, unfortunately, that is a bit low, but it came out.
You're still doing well though. So you've had 4 games out, average of 87.
Oh, that's what we like to do. Keep it coming.
That's pretty good. Logan's the closest with you. He's only got 3 games out, but he's got an average of 85. So he's one to watch out for.
Elden Ring really did bump that up.
That has helped you out massively. But all your other games have been above 80 anyway, and the Uncharted collection was an 88, so no fluke really.
No.
The Grand Prix is heating up.
Come on, we can do it. I've got to get a change in still, and for the next thing. But
although we're hitting a real quiet period now. I
was going to say, there's a lot now. Yeah,
backlog season may well have begun.
Yeah,
clear down some tour. I just getting to start an Elden Ring, but that can's being kicked down the road week by week for some reason. One day I'll take the plunge. One day this decade. That's the FGL sorted. Here we go then. A new segment may never be resurfaced ever again.
Here we go.
It's called Question of the Week. And I've made people like, oh, you can ask questions. Well, of course you can, but none of you do. So I've made the question up myself. But if anyone wants to be featured on Question of the Week, you're more than welcome to submit something. I will probably use it. But in absence of that, I created my own Question of the Week. And it says here, is Jim Ryan right to suggest that putting first-party games into a subscription model day one might downgrade quality and output? So that's the question we're being posed here. And I thought, well, a good way to measure this would be to compare the output of both the Xbox first parties and the PlayStation first parties since Xbox started doing that.
Right.
So I did some research. The first game to go into GamePass day one was Sea of Thieves. I think it was like March 2018. So from that date onwards, I collected all the games that are or were first party only. So there's quite a lot that excludes. Things like Flight Simulator don't count because that's a second party deal.
Right. Okay.
That's not included. But also things like Marvel Spider-Man I've not included because when they made the game, that was a second party deal.
Right.
And Miles Morales was they purchased them, and then Miles Morales obviously came in under that. So they've kind of
they'd acquired it by then.
Yeah, for Miles Morales they had, but for Spider-Man it was post that. Right. Same with Returnal. That's not on PlayStation's list because they purchased them after Returnal was shipped. I made a big list, and then I was like, I need to narrow this down. But what's come out is quite striking. So I've got all the titles here from both sides, and then I've got the scores from Open Critic. You know, people will always speculate whether they're of any use whatsoever. I went through and also grabbed any Game of the Year awards that were handed out from any of the categories, from DICE, the Game Awards, and GDC, sort of those three. And there's no real way to judge quality because it is completely subjective, really. Like I don't think it's possible to come up with a solution. But in terms of number of games, you can clearly see when I tell you, you'll know there's a huge difference. And then if you do care for any of the award stuff, again, there's a big gulf there. So since Xbox started doing this, they have had precisely 7 games. 7 they've dropped out. You've got Forza Horizon 5, Forza Horizon 4, Psychonauts 2, multi-platform, but still, Halo Infinite, Gears 5, Sea of Thieves, and Bleeding Edge.
Ooh.
That's your lot.
That's it.
That is your lot. Now, between those games, they accumulated 8 awards across the various categories. No disgrace. What's Jim's shit out? Jim's studios have shit out 16 games.
Oh, he's churning them out.
So he's over doubled the churn out ratio. And in terms of awards, a stonking 38 awards have been handed out to games across the portfolio. So that is a big difference, isn't it, in terms of just the volume of games? And even if I did include all the first and second party stuff, PlayStation still had a sizable lead in terms of volume.
Quality.
Well, volume definitely, and the quality stuff, as I said, is subjective.
It is subjective, yeah.
So is Jim Ryan right or wrong to suggest that? Because people got on their go and was like, "Oh, you cocky cunt! What are you trying to say? You can't say that."
Yeah, it's difficult because he has, like you say, it is subjective, but he has churned out a few masterpieces. The God of War, got the thing, and like you said before, do these studios, I think we discussed this before on the pod, do the studios knowing that it's going onto a streaming service day and date, is that, I suppose they did have crunch with Infinite, but
yeah, well, this is the thing was,
I don't know, you've got that in the back of your mind, don't you, that you know it's going onto this, so there's the sales. It takes the aspect of sales, even though there will be sales.
Well, this is what I believed. Many months ago, I said, well, it's probably over a year ago now. I thought, well, now that Microsoft are really committing to this Game Pass thing, there's no reason for them to ever rush a game.
None.
No. There's zero reason to do that because you're not relying on a. I know they'll think, oh, we'll get a nice bunch of subscribers to come in, which are important, but it's not like. You see games coming out in like February, March, where they're trying to make the end of the financial year. But then they released Halo Infinite, missing campaign, a co-op campaign, missing Forge, seemingly bare bones, competitive play. And as a live service game, it is struggling at the moment. And you think, well, that clearly wasn't ready, was it?
No,
that clearly wasn't done. So the philosophy that I expected Microsoft to follow
has been destroyed.
Phil's taken a crap on it with Halo. So I don't know is the answer. But the proof's in the pudding there that their studios are at least volume wise getting more out. And if you want to judge quality through Game of the Year awards, you can. The scores actually aren't too bad. Like if you do the average score is 82 and the average score is 84 on the PlayStation side.
Right.
But if you sum the totals, it's 1,300 versus 578. So again, in terms of your volume, Jim's unfortunately wiped his arse with Phil. So fair play. I say you get to be cocky and say things like that.
Yeah, if you've got the numbers there. So Alan's gone and said.
Well, Alan said, look.
You can say these sort of comments. You've got the data and the digits to back that up. So it's hard to deny for Jim these sort of comments when he is producing the numbers, and it'd be interesting to see if he did go back on that, if that would fall, like if they wouldn't be churning out as many things. What's that since 2018? You said that started.
Yeah, March 2018.
4 years. So 15 games in 4 years. That is.
And that's just 16. That's just the ones that were purchased at the time.
Right,
true first party. Let me just do all just to get everything in there. So if you include everything that was bought and some of the second party stuff, it's 25.
Right.
Xbox, all your little, because Xbox are weird as well. They've done a load of collaborations with like Gears Tactics and things that weren't first party. Well, they were first. They were published by them, but they were done by places like what's it called? Coalition. Who they did? I think they did it with Splash Damage and places like that.
Right, yeah.
So what was it? So if I did everything that they published, 16 versus 25. So again, Jim's still taking a big old shit on them.
Jim has got the numbers. He's done it.
He has got the numbers.
Yeah. So Jim, I mean, he churned out the two great ones as well. And that's the thing. It's including like Last of Us Part 2 and God of War.
Yeah.
Absolute bank. I mean, even Horizon.
Yeah, and Ghost of Tsushima, like 2000. I mean,
he has. And
then when it launched, people will say, "Well, you have Miles Morales, Demon's Souls." Yeah, I mean,
there's a lot there. There's a plethora. He's.
Cocky
I can see when you look into it. At first, you're like, right, what are you doing, Jim?
Yeah, you are. I mean, it's arrogant.
And like, I mean, for convenience, that's what we want. We want easy access. We want day and date. But if quality is going to be impeded, do we want this shit?
It's up to Xbox to prove you can do it.
Yeah.
Because as much as people were fucking popping champagne bottles about last year, I was like, well, it's all right. I mean, it's not. It's not get too carried away. We've got the 5th entry to a racing game series. We've got a free-to-play Halo game, and we got Psychonauts 2, which was good.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't glory.
But you look at this year for Xbox. Like, what are you? Redfall and Starfield. It's going to end up being.
Yeah, they need.
Where's Redfall? It's coming out in the summer.
Oh yeah, it's unbelievable. We ain't even seen nothing but a fucking CGI tutor.
And then you hear people saying, well, it's 2023 is when it's all going to pop off. Why am I waiting till 2023 for Phil to get his arse in gear? Goodness sake. They go, yeah, 2023 is the big year, the Activision deal. You're not even going to have Call of Duty that year.
No, yeah, that's true. The big money's...
Up to Phil to prove it. Phil, prove Jim wrong.
That's what you want.
Put him back in his box. Like, over the next 3 years, start churning. Get these games out and teach Jim a lesson.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, he
He'll
won't.
be held to pay.
They will be held to pay. So Jim Ryan may well have won question of the week.
But yeah, do get in and get some more questions. Debates.
News. Probably the only news item. Max Payne remakes.
Oh.
Rockstar financing this for Remedy to do, so the OGs. Remedy going to use their own proprietary engine, which is now becoming uncommon, considering the last week last couple of weeks, we've had several studios saying we're all using Unreal Engine 5, like the new Tomb Raider game. That's a screen game. That's now out there.
Oh.
We had The Witcher, CD Projekt Red saying the next Witcher game is going to be Unreal Engine 5. And then you had the state of Unreal Engine, which they released that presentation last week. People, saying how great that's going to be. So Remedy are going to use their own engine for this. And I'm excited I love Max Payne. I really enjoyed Max Payne 3.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember that one. I didn't realise I was just looking on Wikipedia. I knew that 3 was done by Rockstar, but I didn't know 2 was as well. 1 wasn't. OG 1 wasn't. God, Dan Houser wrote number 3. I didn't know that.
Yeah, because I don't know what happened to the license of that, because obviously Remedy started it off, and then it just seemed to get lost somewhere. Because actually, Max Payne's face is Sam Lake's.
Yeah.
So
have they acquired it back then?
No, well, Rockstar have got the rights to it, and they're basically paying Remedy to make it.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder, are they going to recreate his face?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it.
Interesting. But no, yeah, I really liked 3. 3 was very good. The fucking slow-mo and all that. But yeah, again, these sort of games, we said it earlier, that you want remakes being made. Give us fucking, what's it called? Infamous, Resistance, fucking do the lot. Is there any information about this? Is this ground up?
Nothing. Well, yeah, so I didn't say ground up, but it's a full remake, they're saying, and it'll be one package. So it'll be, you'll buy it. It's current gen only as well on PC. So no last gen holding it back. Yeah. And yeah, it's a remake with both 1 and 2 in it. I mean, at that stage, spruce up the 3rd and chuck in as a trilogy, because I'm sure that game looks fine.
As you got the rights,
but, it's a 360 game. If you're doing it, if you're in there mucking around, chuck them the code and say, right, do that, and we'll have the trilogy on.
Have the whole lot.
You can wash your hands of it, can't you?
Yeah.
But I love Max Payne, so I'm really pleased to see this. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but the original Max Payne was just one of those games that I just thought was so cool.
Yeah.
So I know there's flaws of it, like those fucking dream sequences where this fucking baby howling its head off, and you're like, gee.
Oh god!
I go back and think about it. I was quite young when I played that. It's a fucking horrible game. When
I think I played it. I think I played it and got scared as a kid. I got up to a bit where you start fucking going to there's all that cult. I think it might be that baby bit, and I was like, right, what is this?
Yes.
And then
they're all on that drug, aren't they? Or there's like
that's it, yeah.
Valkyrie or whatever it is.
Like Jesus, and then replayed it. God, it's probably fucking ages ago now, but
yes, I've played all 3 of them, and I've enjoyed all 3 of them. So this is good. My main question really is, I'm a bit concerned about Remedy. How much they've got going on now?
No, they've got Max Payne. No, Max Payne. What was the other one? Alan Wake 2.
Alan Wake 2. They've got something called Vanguard in the works. Another thing called Condor in the works. The remakes and a Control sequel.
Oh, they binned in thing that's just dead, is it? Oh, Quantum Break.
Yeah, Quantum Break's just been left in 2016. They've just drowned that.
Left
But
Whole TV series and everything. Chucks it.
This is not a particularly like proficient, studio really. I don't
No.
think they haven't released a ton of games in short succession. Like last gen, literally, we got. Well, in fact, last gen we got Control.
Control, yeah.
And Quantum Break was Xbox One.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh no!
So,
sorry, yeah, and that because it said Xbox One, I was like, that was the gen before.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I'm thinking. Yes, because we had the fucking Series, One X as well.
Yeah.
These mid fucking tier consoles just get me thinking. But yes, so yeah, it's a two
games, and then I've got about 4 in.
However long that's coming, but yeah, that is interesting. Rage was that? Well, that's the engine, the Rage engine. I was going to say they didn't do Rage, did they?
No, that was the Rage was id Software, I think, to start with, and then
was it?
Avalanche did the Rage 2.
God, there's a Game Boy game. Get that in the fucking trilogy.
Cut it out.
Max Payne.
Bullet Time.
Stolen
off the Matrix, but it
was really good. I literally only played that on the 360. The PC port's probably quite up to snuff, to be fair, because it was a good looking game as well, wasn't it? Even on that 360.
Yeah.
And I just remember the fucking just diving through windows and fucking glass shattering and in clubs and stuff. It was brilliant.
Proper cinematic.
It was, yeah. It was like sort of. Was it before? Yeah, I suppose it must have been before the real heights of Uncharted 2.
Yeah, miles before that. Yeah, because originally it came out on PS2 and the original Xbox. That's how far back the first one went back to. So I think I had it on. I remember I bought it for my PC and it didn't work.
Oh.
Requirements were too high, and I was like, "Oh, I had to go back into Virgin and say, oh, no, we don't take refunds for refunds for PC games." And I was like, it doesn't work. And they went, all right then.
Really?
Actually, I sent my mum in to do it because I wasn't old enough to buy it. So they wouldn't have accepted it.
I was going to say they probably would have been at 18 at the time, wouldn't they?
I think it was 15.
Was it 15, was it?
Yeah.
I was swearing in it a bit.
Yeah. I was about 13 when I played it. But I got it on PS2 and then played it on that. And then I actually played the second one on PC. And then the third one I played on 360.
Yeah.
But they were, as far as I remember, I'm sure nowadays you go back and play the first one and think, fuck me, this is old.
Yeah.
But if they can do what they've done with other remakes in terms of
the way that Dead Space is looking, and God knows, still the best.
Get everything remade. Get this. Where's this Metal Gear Solid? Come on, get it all done.
Also, I didn't realise it was a package as well. I knew they were doing 1 and 2, but I thought, that's definitely 2.
Yeah.
2 beasts.
No, that's good. And again, the other concern with Remedy is the last thing they released was that Crossfire X.
Cool.
That single player shitbag. Now, I have some sympathy with that because they're only making the campaign version of it. The game itself, they're still having to just like use someone else's work. Like if the core gameplay from Smilegate was shit, there's only so much you can do. However, you still take the brunt, I'm afraid. You put your name to it, you take the flak.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened there, but
did Remedy do the Alan Wake remaster, or did they ship that off to someone else as well?
Good question. I feel like they've done that themselves.
I've been meaning to pick that up recently because I really loved Alan Wake. I want to go through it. I think it's time to go back. Get Mark Wahlberg back. That's that Max Payne. Get that film remastered as well. I never watched that. But yeah, no, Alan Wake. Yeah, I was a big fan of that. And that I just wondered if they did that or did they ship it off to get fucking
co-developed by Remedy and D3T. I've not heard before, but
they've been acquiring, mate. They got the old. They're probably doing a fucking Santa Monica, start splitting these studios into multiple parts and then fucking ship it out like Naughty Dog did as well.
Take that, they said.
Nightmare.
Anyway,
but yeah, it is a lot from, but exciting to see. Exciting.
This is still in like conception phase as well, so this is like
as long as fuck it, then the
PS6 might be out by then.
The other thing, if we're going looking at remakes, the last remake that Rockstar churned out.
Yeah, that trilogy is a fucking mess.
Yeah, so we might don't know. It sounds like the
Never
dream.
count your chickens in this game.
No.
The gaming gods are always waiting to strike you down. Just when you think you've got it all sussed out,
Yeah.
you think, well, this is going to be a guaranteed hit.
Yeah.
And then they will come and crap on you. So you just have to have your wits about you with these gaming gods. They're not afraid to pull the rug out from underneath you. But look, that's going to be it for the week. Well, not for the week, for this little bit. We'll transition off. But I don't know what game again. You'll be more privy to me. There's what impressions you're going to get. I'm going to pop in another pre-recorded session that either Adkins and I. There's one in there from Adcock somewhere that I did randomly. So you might get that. But
when's this Elden coming? We need the full Elden.
Elden. Well, so basically the Elden Ring's done. I'm sitting on it.
Ooh.
I'm not for me. Nice. Adcock's done it. However, we know there's been rumblings around review scoring being changed. Now, what we've done, obviously, unfortunately, is recorded the load with the old score.
Right.
So for continuity purposes, because I treat this like like EastEnders, I want everything to be chronologically correct. Yeah. They need to be churned out first.
Right, cool. Got you.
So that's how that's working.
So that okay. Right, that's fine. I thought you'd recorded it in the old manner. Therefore,
no,
would need an edit or a full blown rehash.
Reshoot. So it's there. It's just it's gonna be cycling through. No. So you'll get through it. Don't worry.
You'll get through. Hopefully, I'll have the game done by the time he does it.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to put in the Monster Hunter Rise impressions you did.
Even have the same clothes on.
Yes.
So.
Whilst I remember, because specifically, I remember when we spoke about that afterwards, I was like, do you know what we didn't mention? Because one of the things we completely and utterly used to bemoan Monster Hunter World for was the co-op, in that you'd go cutscene.
Did we not do that?
No, because and my question was going to be, this has been completely eliminated in Monster Hunter Rise, isn't it? Because it's separate. It's completely separate. Like you can do co-op missions or single player missions, and they don't cross over.
So basically, every problem we had with that game was eradicated in this game.
So we didn't even talk. We didn't mention that once.
Oh shit! Oh no!
So we'll have now. There you go.
Yeah, add this onto the this little.
We'll replay this into it. But so you're going to get some Monster Hunter Rise and Stanley Parable impressions.
Ooh,
from what goods,
which is perfect because we've got DLC coming up for both of them.
Is that DLC or is that a full release? That Stanley Parable? Is it?
Well, I think it's like a deluxe. It's like a what's it called? It's.
If you got the OG, is it an upgrade?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. No, I reckon that might be a new purchase. But there is new stuff and it's all new endings. Second, I'll definitely be sniffing it because I fucking love that game. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird, especially in PC games. I remember BioShock. I managed to get all of them and I didn't even do anything. Darksiders, I got all of them for free, and then you get stuff like I don't know, Alan Wake or something. I suppose that's remastered. And they go, nope, you got to pay for that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I haven't had it long. Like I say, that's probably the last BioShock remastered was probably the last free remaster I got. Can't think of it any recently, but certainly would get pressure. And then we've got the big Iceborne-esque DLC, Sunbreak, which I don't know what I'll be doing. I mean, I've got to get Elden out of the way first. That's all
hands on deck.
Vision. It does, yeah, tunnel vision. But I still need to go back, really. And in my brain, I haven't finished the complete version of.
Credits have rolled, mate.
Credits have rolled. I should wash hands. That's how we should in this business, but you know what it's like.
Got to do what you got to do. Keep yourself sane.
Yeah.
Anyway, look forward to those impressions. They'll be coming after this short transition. So we'll see you on the other side. Here we are then. Welcome to another session of Game Impressions to see you out for this week's Idle Game Chat. Once again joined by Mr. Adkins, not Adcock. Some reluctance on this particular title because there's questions, not from my side, this is all self-inflicted from Adkins and Rodney, who lives in his head. wondering whether he has actually finished the game. Now, my rule is once the credits roll, the credits have rolled. And if they never roll, like they do in the Forza Horizon games or in bloody Assassin's Creed, it's a nightmare for me because that's kind of how I check mark that the game's finished. Why would you not want your staff to roll off at the end of a game and show off what they've done? Like, I don't understand that mentality, but some games do it. So Monster Hunter Rise is the subject in question. Now, you've ran through it, you've seen the credits, you weren't happy. You don't feel like you've finished the game.
No.
Explain why that is, because I think it'll be interesting for some people, because especially given some of the changes they've made for the story portion of Monster Hunter Rise, it's almost like there's two games kind of sitting here side by side.
Yes.
For players, but I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, so this is I don't think it's definitely the shortest Monster Hunter Rise game in the entire franchise. But basically, what they've done in this game is they've put the story mode into pretty much like a tutorial, and then they roll the credits at the end of this tutorial. So it's not typical tutorial. It's ain't like 2 hours long.
Yeah.
It's about like a 15 to 20 hour tutorial.
Okay.
But basically, so that is the story mode, and it's the tutorial of the game. And then once the credit rolls, then you're entered into the end game, which typically doesn't start this early. And certainly in the previous game, World, the credits didn't roll until you'd finished a meaty chunk of the end game.
The structure was that you would need to do a fair bit of grinding to get through the story mode. So you'd be going out doing lots of assignments. I think they were called all the terminology. Building like your armor sets and your weapon set. It sounds like for this time round that the story mode, that's not necessarily required. That you'll be given the equipment to serve you through whatever this portion of the story offers.
I'll tell you why this game's so short as well. Because thank fuck they did, but they got rid of that bloody them investigation missions you had to do where you fucking following them little bugs about. What were they called?
What, when you were trying to like build up your
like investigation, wasn't it? You was like trying to research the monsters,
like your Pokédex, you're trying to fill it out. So you pick up like their footprints or their.
That's it, the footprint. Oh, their dreaded footprint.
So they're gone
now.
There's
none of that at all now.
Bloody hell! It's my
favourite
bit.
Go out and get them. Well, that's 30 hours there.
Yeah, it's true.
Cut out. So just doing that. So, So I think World was like you had low rank, then you hit a wall, and it's like, right, here we go, I'm on to high rank.
And that was all part of the main quest. Like you go from low to high, and then Master was maybe later on, but you were forced to make that transition to get through the story piece.
That's it. And then you ended up with flipping Elder Dragons, and then there was an end boss at the end of that, like the real last daddy. And then the credit. There was 2 credits, wasn't there? Was there 2?
I can't remember. I'm confused because we played Iceborne as well.
Yeah.
So that kind of
they did blend in. But to my recollection, I believe there was like the end game that was like there was like an end boss. You had like the high rank, the low rank, high rank, and then the Elder Dragons and an end boss. And then it was the fucking master rank daddy-os. I'm sure there was a last boss, but like you say, it might have been Iceborne. But certainly, with this one, the credits roll when you're still low rank in this one. And then once the credit rolled, then you go into high rank. And so that's essentially the start of endgame.
Because all your progress basically gets scrapped as well. Like your weapons and armour is not useless, but you ain't going to get far with that low rank too.
No, that's right. So I think I was again. I put some hours into it, and I think I rolled credits on about hour 18. I think hour 18. I'm now stuck about 33 hours into it. I think I'm on.
Christ.
So I'm a chunk into the high rank now. I'm starting to work my way, but there's still a fair way to go, and there's more story to come. But because the credits have rolled, it's not. I'm sure it probably will close off the story, but it's not, like I say, there's no end credits, so I'm not going to get some ending cutscene that sort of neatly wraps it up in a bow. It's pretty much box standard, Monster Hunter Rise cutscenes where it's just a man introducing a new monster or a new variant of a monster. So I'm just going to be seeing that, and then all these big fucking bastards are going to turn up, and I'm going to go, oh fuck, I've got to go grind out some more. So that's why I was a bit reluctant to give this review, because the Monster Hunter community, they know that this is Monster Hunter, the end game. This is all about the fucking grind, as we both know after putting 100 hours in each, a pair of us. So, but yeah, I'm going to give you my review of what I've played, which, I've played 30 odd hours on it. Is a sizable chunk. I can give you the rundown of what you got.
And also, I think one of the things that absolutely puts people off Monster Hunter is because of to get through it, quote unquote, it requires a level of grinding that people aren't prepared to do. Sounds like they've not swapped things, they've changed it so that if you did just want to play through a bit more of a lighter experience without the need for incessant grinding, then you could play this portion, this tutorial, as you've called it, or the story. Like, there's obviously a story there that's being run. Yeah. And then you could call it a day there. And then if you want to go back for the hardcore stuff, you can do.
Yeah,
whereas
exactly
before, you were kind of forced to do that if you ever wanted to see the end of it.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if this is the decision that they've made because it was, it's not currently now, but was when I bought it, a PlayStation. I'll get it right in a minute. A Nintendo
3DS.
Nintendo Wii U. No, it's a Nintendo Switch exclusive. So I wonder if they anticipated
got them kids on it.
A younger audience.
Got Albert trying to play it.
Exactly. So they needed a younger audience. So they needed to make it more accessible, because people do link these games to the Soulsborne because of its difficulty in certainly the end game in that.
It's not easy.
And it's awkwardness of combat and stuff. When you've got a fucking dirty great bastard roaring around and you've got this limited sort of maneuverability.
Yeah.
And you're swinging that dirty great big axe or firing your bow gun and that, it does have that sort of feel. So yeah, I wonder if this decision has been made because of the Switch and that, and like I say, but no, let me set the scene for this game. So setting the scene for this one is, it's typical Monster Hunter. You have a home base, and this is this sort of town. I forget what it's called now, but generic Japanese town. And there's I think they called it the Rampage.
Yes,
and they're noticing that the monsters
like these frenzied Pokemon.
They're basically the frenzied Pokemon. They're frenzied monsters. You can see why they both take inspiration from each other so much. Arceus stinks of a Monster Hunter Rise, and Rise stinks of
dirty
old
bastards.
Pokemon. So,
have a wash, the fairies.
It's all these fucking rage monsters, and they want to attack this town, and they're coming in waves, and they're growing in numbers, and it's becoming a real botherance for the people of this town. So you have to go out and sort of, cull these monsters, and then chop them up and make armor out of them and swords out of them, in typical style.
Murder them.
Exactly that. But what this does is it has a new mode, which is called Rampage mode. So let me tell you how the quests in this game. So you have the home hub, and you have two areas. So it's exactly the same as in World.
Yeah.
You have your single player, like the hub, but you have the gathering hub, where that's where all of your online multiplayer. That was your like online social area.
That's it.
Well, that is completely separate to the online game. Like, where in World, me and you could play in that gathering hub, and that will be checking off missions for me and you, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well, if me and you play in that gathering hub, that will only check off our online portion of the game. We still have single player missions that we cannot complete with anyone else. You have to play through that on your own.
So, no SOS flares in these single player ones. You have to do
no
it on
SOS.
your own.
But you are now equipped with a doggy.
A little pup. I've seen
You
him.
have your little Palico and you have your Palamute.
Is he a better dog than Torchlight's dog or not?
Much better. He comes with a sword in his gob. And
Oh, right.
I tell you, this is the thing. This is quite easily the single player portion of this game is easy,
Right.
because of these two companions that you have. The Palamute, you use him for traversing around. So you've got these big open areas,
Why,
which
dear?
typically. Exactly, and yeah, you roar around on him, but he also helps you in combat. Like I say, you give him armor.
Why don't you do that?
Nah, you
Just
don't
put
do
him in your
that.
little ball.
That's it. Go back out. But no,
It's one-shotted by a
Palamute.
fucking toxic fuck. Anyway.
Yeah, it does get cold. But no, you've got two companions, and they really do help. So the single player portion of this game is very, very easy.
Is it? It's
And
like not even.
yes, it's not even a change. I
Do you need
never
to even
want.
bother with like upgrading your armor and weapons? Like, not really.
I did, but I don't think you did, because I really did piss out, and I didn't do any grinding to like get over leveled. I literally just I breaknecked it basically, because there's no side to do. There's very little.
And then the online quests that you mentioned earlier, are they related to any components of the story? Are they just standalone, missions to grind for stuff? They just like
They do integrate. You go up to a certain level. It works the same way as World, where you have star. So you start with 1 star, 2 star. I think there's 1 and 2 and 3, and then you get to 3, and then it moves over and it integrates the online gathering hub as part of the story. So you have to play online to do, and then that goes up to, I think that's just 3 and 4. I think, because then, or maybe just 3 and 4. I think, and then after 4 is when the story ends and it goes to high rank.
So you need to do some online missions to get.
You do have to do some on, to finish the actual story.
Fair enough.
So yeah, that's the box item, and then like I say, it introduces this new type of mission, which is called the Rampage.
Tower
and that's
defense.
it's basically tower defense. Yeah, you're set in a big room, and you have these platforms where you can choose to have like there's some on the ground. You can put like bombs in them. Then you have turrets that you can either man, like yourself, have them manual so you can on, and then you have or you can have like auto ones, and then all of a sudden it's like a horde mode. You get waves of these monsters, so big fucking monsters that come in. And they've got to get to the gate of the town to try and bash that down, and it's your thing to run around and manage them. And it's quite fun actually. It's a welcome change. Like, it's not typically anything you'd see in a Monster Hunter game, and it can be absolute carnage. And these monsters come, you start polishing them off pretty quick, but there's like 3 levels of it, and then they start getting harder, and then there's like an end boss that comes, and he's a real strong bastard, and you have to try and put him down, but he normally gets to the gate, and you're constantly trying to keep these sort of these platforms sort of they have health bars, so the monsters will attack these and blow them up. Then you have to start again, build them up. There's like a gong you can bang, and that gives you like quadruple stats, so you can then attack the monsters yourself, but your stats are like enhanced, so you really do some real damage. But yeah, it's absolute carnage and fun at the same time, and it's really good online. Like, it's hectic when you're on your own, because you're like, cool, but when you're online together and you've got like a group of friends that you can talk to, you can get some strategy, and so you'd be like, right, you take the left, I'll take the right, you take the floor. With randoms, you just got to get them in and hope for the best, because you can't communicate with them.
I always found the randoms used to do most of the work for me in Monster Hunter World.
You get one and the name pops up, and you see that is Japanese or Chinese characters. You know you're in for a good night.
Anyone from the Asian territories used to just fucking
absolute wipe the
piss
floor,
and
you just sit there and pick up the rewards. That was the gripe for me. And I got this with the old game, is when Clarky and Pasola had gone to bed, and I was like, no, I'm still going to carry on playing this. I'd carry on and do some more missions. I think I must have had about 5 or 6 missions in a row where I'd end up fighting this monster on my own in multiplayer.
Yeah.
And just towards the end, someone would come in and reap the rewards and then fuck off. And literally, I'd like get them down to where they're in that state where you could capture them.
Yeah.
And they'd come in just before that, one hit on it, and then it'll fucking go to sleep, and they'll reap the rewards. And I'm like, where have you been? But no, I've got to say the biggest thing for this game though is the quality of life improvements that you had on this game compared to World. Just being able to traverse with that dog is sensational.
I can imagine. I'm thinking back now to all the running you have to do, particularly when a monster flees halfway through a battle and you've got to chase it down. It's always like
the sharpening.
You get up and fucking fly off. And you're like, I was going to over the fucking map.
Exactly that. And on the way, you'll be fucking picking up, God knows, wouldn't you, Lees and.
Well, you could tame those little creatures. Do you remember?
You could, yeah.
But you couldn't control them.
No, that's
you
right.
just get on them and they would take you there. Yeah.
Where this is full 3D, go where you want, and you can do stuff off. You can carve animals off the back of these. You can carve the monsters. You can go and get your fucking ore and whatnot, all off the back of this.
Yeah,
it's incredible. What other ease of improvements? Maybe just cut. Why you have the grappling hook of Monster Hunter. You get these. You can move. You can turn these into moves. There's these little bugs that it basically is like a little grapple hook. They've got rid of the clutch claw, was it? They brought in Iceborne.
Yeah, that's it.
So that's the only downside. You can no longer. Well, you can ride the monsters, but you can't. Remember, you could jump on the monsters and do some real damage on them. These ones you can. You can use these wire bugs to ride the monsters, and you can attack other monsters with them or bash them into a wall. But you can only do that once, I think, or once. Yeah, only once in a battle.
Yeah.
So whereas before you could jump on him every time if you had that fucking what was that bloody weapon I used to always use? The insect glaive.
Yeah.
That was it. That thing you could jump around all day long. Whereas this, what other little bits? There's a lot of, it escapes me now, but there was a lot of just simple little things that you couldn't do in World that you can in there. There's just ease of access. Have you got any questions? I'm trying to think.
No, other than because you're playing this on Switch, it's now out on PC for those that are playing it. How was the drop in frames? Because it was halved. Because we played it on the PS5, and by then it had been it hadn't been patched. It's just that the unlocked version played at 60, so it was. That's right. And for a game that requires such timing, it was. I've
got to say it's jarring at first because of the cut, but it's very stable 30. It's not a choppy one at all. And even like when there's 4 of us on the screen and fucking we're all hammering this monster to shit and there's particles flying everywhere, that frame rate did not drop once. It is a solid 30. So my brain did go with it. I felt it was all right. It would be brilliant to have it at 60, but no, 30. It really wasn't as big as an issue as I thought it would be.
I don't think it is as big an issue, really. Like, it's nice to have. It is absolutely ideal to have in circumstances, but in the absence of it, it's not unplayable.
No, it's not unplayable, and this was definitely a solid experience. Graphically, it's serviceable. There's some questionable textures in there again, a bit like the Pokemon, but it's serviceable for what it is, especially on this Switch, is what it was when it first came out. I don't really even think the PC version looks that incredibly great. They've just sort of really increased the resolution.
It's hard. This game's been built for the Switch first,
it really has.
That's one of the things. Unless you're going to do a whole new version, you're bound to struggle. So do you? I guess my final kind of question is, because they've changed the structure. All the quality of life stuff is good to see and good to have, but this structure change to, the story base and the single players being separate from the online. Like, but there's one part that kind of worries me on the online part, is that what happens if I play and I can't get anyone to join the quest with me? Like, will it still balance out? Will I still have to do it on my own? But because they have changed the structure and what you can and can't do. It seems a little bit more restrictive here, but it's a bit more streamlined, I guess. Do you prefer that, or would
I
you
suppose
prefer they went back to the old school where it was just, you always fire the SOS flare in any mission?
Yeah. You can still do that. Like you do have, it's not the SOS flare, I think it's something else now, but you do always have that. But yeah, like you say, you're not always guaranteed to get someone in. And typically, like I say, I had so many people just turn up late and reap the rewards. I did hit walls when I was playing on the online portion, like certainly the end game, so it does get tough
Yeah.
and can be. But I think you'll be fine to get through it. But if you got through it, it's not been so much. Like I've not noticed a huge leap in difficulty.
No.
It just seems that I probably would prefer it that they included the end game, just because that is the core. After playing World and Iceborne, I know that is the core
That's
meat
the
and bones
game.
of this game. That is the game, whereas this is the tutorial, and they've gone. That's the game. Now here's the end game. So I wish they'd have stuck the end credits, or even done a second end credits for the real players. So I feel like I've got
Do
something
you
to
know
work with.
if there are any end credits for the end part of this, or have you not?
There's
You're
not
dead.
now. I've checked because that's what I was like. Right, because when I said to you I've completed it, I wanted to make double sure. I didn't want you to go. Well, actually, but there are, like I say, there are cutscenes I can still gather, but there is no end credit, and even that's going to be left open for this new DLC that's
Yeah.
coming months away. So I'm definitely going to go back to it at some point and polish off. But
So ideally for you, it'd have all the quality of life improvements that you
yes,
mentioned,
yeah,
but
that's
keep
the thing.
world's
But keep
structure of
worlds,
progression and
yes,
yeah.
exactly that.
I think
Yeah,
it's fair because that was the game, wasn't it? And
yeah,
every mission you could play online whether you liked it or not. Whereas it sounds like on this there is a portion of them that you can only play single player. They're easy, but
I get why they've done it, because
yeah,
the infrastructure is so poor as well on this
it's
Switch.
true.
Like, this is an online game where
Yes.
it requires you talking to partners and people, like, to explain. They don't even promote their own app anymore. They know it's that bad that they have communication problems. Like, their trailers, they have people on, like, fucking Zoom doing fucking video chat. That's how poor it is. So I get that they've had to make these changes for this platform. But yeah, it's sort of watered it down, unfortunately. The new monsters are fucking brilliant. Like the cover monster, Magnamalo, he's brilliant. And they really sort of build up his fight with him.
Yeah.
Is like really good. But like I say, it's so easy that you're like. But again, I've got. There's the thing with Monster Hunter. Once you've beaten him once, that's not the end. He's going to come back as a fucking Apex monster or a fucking. Well, I can't remember the recording world. They were like double R.
Yeah.
So he's coming back in some
Begins with an
form.
R, I think. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, what
Oh,
was
well.
it? Rage, something like that. Nah, but yeah, like I say, I've got the end credits, but this is the beginning of the game, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing with it, like I say, for newcomers of this franchise, this is going to be a real Marmite game for you. It is repetitive. It's grindy as fuck. But there is an addictive hook that sucked us both in. It sucks millions of people in.
Yeah.
People love it. And it's still a Monster Hunter game at its core. They add new things to it. And they do some great changes. But I just feel that they've watered it down a bit too much for me in terms of where they've structured the story.
Yeah.
I get why they've done it, but I like the old way with the new mechanic, with the new quality of life improvements.
Fair enough. What's the scores and the doors then for Monster Hunter Rise?
I'd put it an 8.0. I'd say
8.0 for the Monster Hunter
8.0.
Rise.
I'm gonna see it through till I feel it's done, till I stop getting cutscenes.
Yeah.
Who knows? They there was another update the other day. They could eat, like, when this was released, they didn't even have. There was apparently a cutscene that sort of hyped up the next monster, and they didn't even have him. They didn't add him into about 3 months down the line, and they went, "Oh, here he is. He's here now."
Strange
So
bastards,
they're
aren't
constantly adding stuff in, but no, I'd recommend. Certainly, I think you'd enjoy this. I'd probably advise
they? Yeah, I think there's
you to play it unless you jump on this and jump on with me.
Yeah, that's the only thing. There's no cross play, is there? I don't know.
I wish there was, because that would,
Yeah,
I think
that's a killer, really. Not a killer, but
yeah.
that is a bit of a.
Well, because I'd already put 10 hours in, I thought I don't want to have to play that again
No,
on top of
rightly
it.
so.
I thought, but I reckon if there was, just for that 60 buff, it's like I say, it's not as much as a hindrance as I thought it'd be, but it would be nice to play it on there. And the like World was a brilliant optimized game. I could run that on this old potato that I'm on now.
Yeah.
So that 1440p machine will be an absolute dreamboat.
Run it. Wow. Yeah. Monster Hunter Rise sits at an 8.0. And for reference, we both gave Monster Hunter World with the Iceborne expansion a 9. So
there you go. Yeah, that's about right. Like, it does things that are good on this game, and it's definitely a step in the right direction. But
what I don't get about this is, what is it doing on the Nintendo Switch and nothing else to start with?
yeah,
How popular Monster Hunter World was. It was like their top-selling game for ages for Capcom, and
I do wonder if this is because they have a World 2. I think just for that name only, that I think they got so many people into that franchise that they must have a World 2 in production.
Yeah.
And I assume this is for the Japanese, because that Switch is so booming over there.
But you could have put it onto all consoles and ported it down.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
just seems odd.
Yeah, Monster Hunter Rise. It started as it was a PlayStation game, but there was a lot on handheld on devices. You had PSP,
3DS had a few.
3DS had a few, and like I say, those East Coast boys, they absolutely love a handheld game. So I can see why they've done it. But yeah, for us over in the West, they should just stuck it on everything, to be fair. Let us all have a pop, and then we'll get World 2 in the next couple of years.
Yep. Agreed.
Or not. We're getting this new one, apparently, aren't we? There's a new Xbox Monster Hunter clone.
That's it. We'll see how that pans out. There was rumours circulating that that Guerrilla Games could be doing a Horizon-based co-op.
Really? Oh, that would be good. That would lend itself perfect to that franchise. That'd be great. I think we spoke about it the other day, but Sony should definitely get Capcom with this.
They probably already have by the time we've aired this.
Yeah, that's
the way
true.
Things are going. They're buying things every other week. There seems like there's a new acquisition going through.
But listen, Resident Evil, for them to be PlayStation exclusives,
and Street Fighter it's already on. It was anyway, because they bought it. I don't know what they did. They agreed not to. They obviously third partied it, but it would make sense. Interesting. Right, 2 blasts from the past.
Yeah.
Stanley Parable. Go.
What a game. Well, this was based on your recommendation. I said to you about my dream of just blasting through walking simulators, and you said, have a go on Stanley Parable. Said, don't read anything about it, just play it. Just play it. And boy, what a fucking game this is. It's so good. What is it? It's a narrative-driven walking simulator.
And yeah, it is. I mean, but it's just it's so bizarre, and just encourages you just to try different things, and it's so. I mean, I'd love to see like a flow of how the game's designed, just on a bit of paper. It'd probably be about 50 or more than that, hundreds of pages long, but it's a crazy game.
It's incredible. It challenges the gamer in ways that you couldn't possibly imagine. Like, not in terms of difficulty or anything, just in the way you think and the way you do actions and things. And it's so well narratively driven that there's a reaction for everything you do in that game, and that adds to the story. And it's like, the core story of the game is literally just get from A to B. That's it. But it's the moments that alter and change that you do in that A to B adventure is just phenomenal. And I just implore everyone to just have a play of this, because it's so simple. And again, another game. It's just a mod. It's a mod of that Valve Half. What's it called? The engines?
Source Engine.
Valve? What's it called?
Source Engine.
Source. That's the one. Yeah, the Half-Life one, isn't it? And you can see it in some of the the sort of environments and stuff, it has that Half-Life feel. But yeah, it's just you're a character called Stanley who's going through this sort of mundane life, sick of his job.
Sick of it.
And you just one day you're in the office and everyone's disappeared and there's no one about, and you go on this adventure to try and find out what's going on, and you're just taken in this deep dive. You start questioning your own life.
Yeah, I don't think I ever understood what was really going on. Like, it just goes into so many different places, and it's really funny, really well written.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And yeah, like experimenting and trying all different things is always an outcome that you probably haven't had before. It's like, it's crazy.
No, it's brilliant. It's a first, it's first person, isn't it? Yeah, it's first person. So you're just walking around and there's things you can do, but it really is like choice and just trying different things is the best thing. Like, it will tell you to do something and your brain will instantly tell you to do the opposite. Like, it's like the developers knew exactly what you were gonna do. Yep. It really does. It's just a brilliant dynamic between the gamer and the storyteller, and it's just that sort of connection and communication between each other. And short and sweet, brilliant idea. I love that they're bringing out new endings for it. There's already multiple endings that you can get. I tried to get as many as I could.
It's hard, isn't it?
It's
hard. You don't really want to look it up. You want to just find it, don't you?
Right.
It's one of those games where you want to just sort of stumble across it. But
there's one is really nice. I'd done one, and then I was like, I'll try and do something different, but then got stuck in the same one, and it was a really long ending. So I was like, I'd have to see it through again. But yeah, brilliant, and I can't wait to see what other endings they get. Short and sweet, but I think it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours long.
Yeah.
If you can pick it up cheap as well these days. Absolute fucking brilliant.
Excellent.
Fully recommended. Don't get scored, does it? Because it's
too old.
Too old. Fully recommended. That's all we'll say.
I actually don't know what year. Was it 2011? Stanley Parable?
It's possibly be.
That's what I've got in my head. Can't actually bloody
remember. It was 2011, July 31st. Cool.
There you go. Excellent. And then,
cool.
I'm gonna owe this and give this the inspiration for you playing this to Keeley as they reveal a sequel to this game. But Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine.
Space Marine.
I mean, I've never played any of these games.
Nor have I.
You've got involved after seeing the trailer for the sequel, and what's going on here?
That's it. Well, yeah, it literally was the show. I've had this before with a game on the Xbox 360 called Prototype. If you remember that bad boy. And I watched the trailer for that. It was like a CGI cutscene. I was like, this is going to be fucking brilliant, this game. This looks awesome. Played that, and it was the biggest ball of garbage I've ever seen. Another Activision blower that was.
Yeah.
But no, this was based on the trailer. Yeah, there was a trailer for the new one. I didn't really know much about this game, to be honest, until seeing the trailers for the new one. It was very much like a Doom type spy game. You know, like this franchise has been going for years. I've never remember as a kid. I think I got into it for about a week once, where I went to that Games Workshop and bought a couple of little figures, painted them myself, and I was like, well, that looks shit, doesn't it? So, and that's it. I dropped that franchise like a bad habit. But no, this one, the sequel to this game's coming out. So I was intrigued by the trailer. It looked gory as hell. Had this sort of raw, sort of Doom-esque to it, and I was like, cool. So I looked into the original game and saw lots of comments that it was like a Gears of War type game. And I was like, do you know what? I'm in a real mood for playing a sort of Gears of War-esque game. So I looked online and I found it for £1.30. So I was like, right, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, you got to get that.
And yeah, this was on my little 2-week holiday over Christmas where I was pumping out these little short games. And yeah, managed to pump this one out. I think this was only about 7 or 8 hours long. And basically, that is what it is. I would call it a mashup of Doom-inspired Gears of War crossed with Darksiders.
There's a lot there.
A lot there. So Doom in its sort of, metal, sort of dark,
Right.
hellish vibe is setting. There's lore, Warhammer lore that, fuck me, it's probably the biggest lore in the world. You could deep dive into this as much as you want, but someone who's not into the franchise, that's the boiled down view.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's basically it plays exactly the same as a sort of Gears of War. It's that over the shoulder look. You've got this sort of chain gun that has not. No, didn't it? You got a gun like a machine gun, and then you've got a sword that's like a chainsaw.
You get a jetpack as well at some point.
Got jetpacks as well.
Certain
situations that you go through, and you constantly picking up new weapons that are like meaty fucking grenade launchers, pistols, laser guns, and it is essentially, but to its discredit, it's a Gears of War game with no cover system.
Yeah, to be honest, actually, when you said you played it, I bunged on an old Game Trailers review, and I was like,
"Oh, really?"
I used to always watch them back in the day, and I was like, I wonder, just wanted to see what the vibe was for this. And they mentioned so there's no cover.
No cover, so you get absolutely dry. I died quite a lot in this just because I'm so used to that fucking system.
Crutch, innit? You just sit behind it and you're safe mostly.
That's it, exactly. So I run straight into the middle of the battle and go, where can I hide? And go, fuck, there ain't nowhere. So I start getting drilled. I go, fucking hell. So you'd have to like run all the way back, try and find like a corner I could sort of try and peek and boo. But there's some cool stuff, like there's a lot more melee focused. That's where the dark side references come from. It's a bit hack and slashy, I'd say, because you've got this sword that you can hack them. You can turn that into an axe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically a box. It's old now, so it's very
Another 2011 jobby.
Another 2011.
What a year that's turned out to be.
Yeah. Story's fine and serviceable. It's pretty much Gears of War. You've got their version of General Ram on there. You've got Getting Down. So something about some sort of fucking crystal or something. I can't really remember. Pretty throwaway. But yeah, it was like an old Gears game. Didn't really add much to it. Like I say, you had a few levels where you got this jetpack and it added a bit of verticality to it. There was a few collectibles in there, like the cogs. I think it was like dog tags or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
It literally was kind of like, even the way the words mission cut chapter 1 came up, it came up exactly the same as Gears. It really was. It reeked of Gears again. Oh, fucking Blazinski must have been like, "Oh, what are you doing to me?" But yeah, it was serviceable. I just wanted this was a Rodney purchase because he said if I think about getting that number 2 that comes out, then I have to play this. And when I sort of looked into it, like yourself, I didn't know nothing about it, so I looked into it, and there was a few YouTubers that I watch, Jake Baldino being one, don't know if you know him from Game Ranks, and a few others, and sort of said that this was a bit of a sort of hidden gem. It's like one of those games that was fun to play and sort of slipped under the radar. So I wanted to check it out, and yeah, it was fine. Like, I wouldn't say it was any as good as some people sort of, I suppose, because they have an affiliate to the Warhammer franchise. I suppose I don't have that with this.
No.
But yeah, it was perfectly fine. It was playable. I'd say very nice, short and sweet, 7 to 8 hours. Easy peasy, get your way through it. Unfortunately, it's a bit dated now, so it didn't really add much to that sort of franchise of game.
No.
But yeah, there's lore there for the proper Uber Warhammer geeks. That's.
So you're pumped for the sequel?
I'm pumped for the sequel. Yeah, the characters were fine. Like you play a main character, I can't remember his fucking name.
Titus
now.
or Titan.
Titan or Titus, something like that. But he's sort of like a Marcus Phoenix X type thing, very military driven, big hard brute that's, sort of a bit of a maverick, wants to do things his way.
Ian Botham.
Yes, he had. Who else was in it? Was it him?
Yeah, the fella's name's Titus.
Titus, that's it. He's voiced by Strong, is it? Something Mark Strong?
Okay, yeah.
I think he's a villain in loads of films, you see. But yeah, so yeah, it's got me hyped for the sequel because there was a lot of hype behind that trailer, and I was like, cool. I've got to say, it did grab me by the bollards. So now I've ripped through that. I definitely will have a radar on it. Like I say, it's not one of the. I wouldn't say it's a go out and must play, but if you do like the Gears of War franchise, and you're into those sort of type games, it's a nice easy run through. And for £1.30.
Yeah.
What would you get? What would you get for £1.30 these days?
You better get a chocolate bar for that. So to get a nicely delivered video game.
Experience. Yeah. So yeah, recommended there, but it's not gonna be fucking. It ain't gonna be leaving you with jaws wide open.
No.
But is what it is. Let's see what they do in number 2. I'd be interested to see, especially after we've had like Gears 5, where you've got these open areas and stuff.
Yeah.
I wonder if it will take stuff from that. Will it continue the sort of Gears of War evolution, or will they try and take it in their own thing? Will they try and turn it into Breath of the Wild? Who knows?
Probably be Monster Hunter knowing what everything's going for these days.
Yeah.
Bloody hell. Well, time for us to log off for the week. Again, if you've made it this far, thank you very much for listening or watching. You can spread the good word by leaving a review, liking the video, sharing it, or if you want to, supporting us at patreon.com/Dimp Digital. This is grassroots, fully independent, bumblers.
Right.
Money goes straight down the pub. Yeah?
Will do.
Well, we ain't been drinking much lately, but all going to change in a matter of days. But yes, if you make it this far, thank you for that. And if you are supporting us and one of our patrons, or those of you on twitch.tv/Dimp Digital as a Twitch Prime subscriber or general subscriber, we thank you for your kindness and generosity. Nothing more for us to say here, though, other than thanks for your time and ta-da.
This was a Dimp Digital production.